very good evening to you and a warm welcome to another edition of Breeding to Win. And on that note, a hearty congratulations once again to Justin Snaith for pulling off the 2020 Vodacom Durban July this year with the Bulgarian, a fantastic ride by Richard Fourie, and well done to him and his team. Another great victory for the Snaith Racing. And I tell you what, got the green light, ran his heart out. He's certainly the horse to watch out for next season. Well, let's take a look at what's on tonight's show. We catch up with a foal at Drakenstein Stud. We look at the stallion profiles of all Gold Standard, Royal Mo and Erupt. And then I'll chat to Mike de Kock on Socrates' July Swan Song before he heads to stud. Well, Fiona Ramsden and the Breeding to Win team have been following a foal out at Drakenstein Stud, now a weaning, the daughter of Gold Standard out of National Banker, and let's see how she's progressed since the lockdown.
So good to be back here at Drakenstein this morning after the lockdown. The farm is looking as beautiful as ever, and I hope all you viewers will remember we started to follow a foal born here at Drakenstein. She's by Gold Standard, who's standing behind us, and she's out of National Banker. Now, we've missed a big chunk of our story because we did come and see her when she was newly born, and we followed through again 7 weeks later when we were here for the farrier. But since then, she's been weaned. She's now in Crawfordnet, and Gavin Pickford's going to fill us in on her progress. Gavin, lovely to be here this morning.
Good to have you back, Fee.
Thank you. And how is she doing?
By all accounts, she's doing very well up in the Karoo. So from the last time you guys were here, I think about 3 weeks or 4 weeks after that, we started the weaning process. And that entails, in the groups that they are in, which is normally 10 to 12 mares and foals in a group, we wean. Starting normally on a Monday, we would take 2 or 3 foals out at a time. Then Tuesday, give them a break, and then 2 or 3 foals the next day, and then give a day's break until we get that camp, all the mares out of there. And that just enables the foals to make friends with whoever has lost their mother, and that gives them an opportunity to buddy up, and that's normally a friend that they will stick with. And then the day break between the weaning process is just to give everything a chance to settle down so that you don't have horses running around all day, every day. It's generally a quick process, pretty painless. The mares normally thrive after being away from the foal. They can just go back to being normal mares again. And for the foals, it's also very good for them mentally to start growing up. They don't need to be on the mother at that stage of their life when they're 6 months old. The mares are only producing a watery milk, so it's not really nutritious for them, and the foals need to start eating more hard feed and being adult foals. From that process, we give them a couple of weeks off just to be horses, leave them as is, feed and check them every day, and then about 2 weeks later, we will start bringing them into stables, just to start educating them on being in stables without their mums. We would generally start doing them 2 by 2 in a stable just to get them used to being inside and separated from most of their mates. And then after about 3 or 4 days, we'd start putting them in 1 by 1 into the stables. This process we do for a couple of weeks until we're happy that they're settled. And then from there on, they go back out to the paddocks, and we will do the next group of foals. And then generally, once we've done all the weaning, so the whole farm has been weaned, we will start sending horses up to Crawfordnet. We try and get them up there just before, as winter's starting, before the big rains. And then we send them up there to Dave Hampton, who looks after them from there until they either become sales horses. If they're going to go to a sale, we'll bring them down according to what sale they're going to, or if they are getting broken in, they will wait till normally around June, and then we start bringing them back to the farm for Jason to start breaking them in.
And that process, I assume, has all gone very well for her, and the travelling and everything was obviously a new thing for her as well.
Yes, no, and like I say, from all accounts from Dave, she settled in well there, happy. Kevin is up there now, having a look at all the foals, and he has sent a video and a photo. She looks fantastic. She's very much in the mould of her sire. She's got a beautiful, strong hindquarter. She's got a decent walk on her, and yeah, she's settled in well, and everything's going good so far.
Well, she was a beautiful foal when we saw her last. So I'm looking forward to when we see her again. But you were telling me off air the benefits of taking your yearlings to Graaff-Reinet. It's really good for them.
Yes, look, in Franschhoek we get very wet winters, not very cold. You get a cold snap here and there, but it's not as harsh as the Karoo. The Karoo is very dry conditions. It gets extremely cold there through winter. They have a lot of frosts there. And the minerals in the ground and the water are all different to what we have here. So what we've found over the years, that it just seems to harden them up a little bit. It toughens them up. They live out there in the paddocks. They don't come in at night time. They have game walking around, kudu and all that walking around with them, eating with them. So it sort of exposes them to a lot more than they would just be here on the farm. And yeah, we found it just toughens them up and makes them stronger horses.
Yeah, it's like off to boarding school.
Yes.
Does she have a name yet, or that comes a bit later?
We're just in the process of naming, so I think we will probably have a name we will have a name next time we chat, but at this moment I think it's still in the process of being named.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear she's doing well, and
yes.
We'll look forward to catching up again soon, and I hope she really does thrive out in Graaff-Reinet. So it's going to be a bit chilly out there, but yes. She'll come back tougher and the better for it. But thank you very much for having us this morning.
No problem. Thanks for coming.
Great to have a follow-up on the filly that we've been following. She really was lovely when we saw her as a foal. I'm looking forward to seeing her again, and I'm glad that everything's running smoothly. That's the Gold Standard filly out of National Banker.
The good-looking son of Trippy, Gold Standard, was rated the second best colt of his generation by Form Merit Ratings. He stands at Drakenstein Stud at a fee of R7,500.
It's lovely to be here at Drakenstein this morning, and with the breeding season ahead of us, it's good to be chatting to Kevin Somerville about Stallion Gold Standard. He's in the paddock behind us. He looks extremely well, and he does look to have a bright future with his first foals on the ground. Kevin, good morning.
Morning, Fee. How are you?
Good, thank you. Lovely to be here. It's a smashing morning. It's lovely to see Gold Standard looking absolutely amazing. He really does look well. He's come on really well since we saw him last.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's an incredibly beautiful horse. I think that, nobody can deny that. I mean, obviously being a son of Trippy, he was always going to be a good, a good type. That was the one attribute that Trippy had. You know, he always sired some beautiful horses, probably a real sort of commercial success, Trippy, in his own right, and based on Gold Standard's foals that we've seen so far, they're like peas in a pod. They're exactly the same. They get, that beautiful horse, beautifully balanced, lovely rein, beautiful eye. So, for us, he's very exciting, and we're extremely proud that he's standing here at Drakenstein.
And of course, he's out of Olympic Dam, and his race record himself was very good. I mean, he won the Selangor, he was placed in the Guineas, the Met. Very good race record as well.
We try as breeders to try and find these horses that can win these classic type of races. We push them hard and early in their 3-year-old season, and a lot of them fall away. And it's those races that, for me, really define the breed. And, races like, the Guineas, the Met, especially if you're a 3-year-old and you can run in it. But his performances against what looks like an extremely strong crop of horses was right up there with some of the best, 3-year-olds we've seen. In fact, he ended up being the highest rated 3-year-old of that specific crop. In the Selangor, he beat Eric Tefnans, he beat William Longsword. And then in the Guineas, he was definitely the fastest finishing horse. He was catching William Longsword, and, full credit to William Longsword, he ended up getting his head across the line. But it was a It was a real sort of eye-catching performance, and I think it showed everybody what a quality horse this is. And then obviously we dropped him into the deep end, into the Met, and it was only in the last few hundred yards that he was just passed by some exceptional horses, a Legal Eagle, and at the time when that type of horse that you're trying to breed, he was at the top of his game, and he demonstrated that. So in the same way, I think that'll be what we tried to get out of his foals as well. So it's very exciting for us.
Yeah, absolutely. He had tons of ability. And what you've seen so far, like you said, his first foals were in 2019. So we're looking forward to seeing them on the track. But all nice by all accounts and good solid sorts.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I think, Gainor's obviously been a massive fan of his. Obviously Trippy's the foundation stallion here, and she's always been very keen to get a son of Trippy to stud, and she watched his career very closely. And so, when he came here, looking at him, and I think people that looked at him were quite blown away by his looks. So you then hope that he can, put that across to his foals, and I think he's done that really, really well. I mean, obviously he's got a lot of aspects of him that look like Trippy, but then he's got his own uniquenesses as well, and some of those have transferred to his foals, and they all of them, I mean, speaking to a lot of the breeders that have them, they all seem to have these really good hindquarters. They've got plenty of leg, they've got scope. So I think, if you speak to the breeders that have had gold standards, they'll all talk about the same thing. These horses that have length and scope and athletic, and they look like they're going to be milers, and that's kind of exactly what he was. Milers to 10 furlongs, but I wouldn't be surprised if he could, he'd throw 2-year-olds as well. So we, we've got, I think, 10 or 12 of them running around in Crawfordnet now. And yeah, I must admit, really not surprised, but just really pleased with what we've got. And Gainor was very, very keen to give him a really good shot his first start, including Hugo as well, who's been the other partner involved in the horse, and all the shareholders really sort of supported him with some lovely mares, and I think he's rewarded us with some rather spectacular foals.
Yeah, and of course you couldn't have your Stallion Open Day this year, so we didn't get to see him, but as I said, I've seen such a difference. He's settled in well, he looks amazing. In fact, all your stallions are looking great. And what is he actually going for service fee wise this year?
So I mean, obviously with COVID around and everything, Gainor thought it was really important to just try and assist breeders during this season. So he's standing at 7,500 live foal, and I think that's incredible value for a horse of his of this nature and the foals that we're seeing. So for me, he's the type of horse that, especially now in his third season, knowing that some of the breeders have really supported him, Drakenstein's really got behind him with some really outstanding mares. Now is the opportunity to take advantage of this. Get your mares to him. I honestly think you won't be disappointed. For me, what I've always found with the yearling sales and things like that, obviously there's yearlings that make the huge sums of money, but it's the ones that are good looking, a good looking horse is always going to sell, regardless if it's out of a by a stallion that's, side at 5,000 or 20,000, whatever it is. If they're good looking, trainers will buy them. And this horse produces really, really good looking horses. And I think, at the Stallion Day, last year when we had it, there wasn't a single breeder around there that said, I think I'm going to take a chance on this horse just because he is so exceptionally good looking. And now we've seen that he can transfer it to his foals. So, if I was a sort of smaller breeder or a breeder wanting to take a chance commercially, for me, he's the perfect horse. Yeah,
couldn't agree more. Best of luck, Kevin. Thanks very much for chatting to us.
Thanks, Fee. Thank you.
Gold Standard really does look a picture here this morning. He's a fine stallion indeed, with a good pedigree and a good race record, and he's good value. So send your mares to Gold Standard. He's certainly worth it.
Mo, son of champion sire Uncle Mo, raced only 6 times in his career. He won twice in America between the ages of 2 and 3. He now stands in South Africa, and this impressive looking individual stands at Klavervlei Stud.
A horse gallops with his lungs, perseveres with his heart, and wins with his character.
Royal Mo by Uncle Mo out of Royal Irish Lass stands at Claverflay Stud, and John Costa had the following to say. An injury during the season in 2018 meant that Royal Mo only got 24 mares in foal. However, he is not disappointed with his first crop of foals. They are of good size with plenty of scope and substance, just like their stunning looking father. He has a larger crop to foal in 2020. A wide variety of mares by various top-class broodmare sires such as Stormcat, Galileo, Captain L, Jetmaster and the like will ensure he has every chance at stud. His illustrious father, Uncle Mo, has been nothing short of phenomenal at stud. This prompted Guru Bull Oppenheim to opine. The sort of start Uncle Mo has made, it equates so far to how that sort of sire, Danzig, Stormcat, AP Indy started at stud. With a stud fee set at $125,000 US, his quality of mare has improved significantly. This sets him up to be regarded as one of the greats of all time. The Royal Mo Syndicate has put up an incredible offer for breeders during this difficult economic time. Any breeder who commits 2 mares in 2020 at a once-off fee of R5,000 will be entitled to a lifetime service right in Royal Mo. This incredible opportunity will be on a first-come, first-served basis for 15 lifetime service rights only. Please give Claverflay a call to cement your future in this very exciting stallion.
Main Chance Farms' exciting new prospect Erupt is a multiple Group 1 winning son of Dubawi, who is rated one of the world's greatest sire-producing families. Let's take a look at Erupt.
With covering season just around the corner, it's great to get an update on Erupt with Justin Wehrmark this morning. Justin, morning.
Morning, Fee.
Beautiful morning. The covering season's around the corner. We've spoken many times about Erupt, but let's just go over his breeding again. He's very well bred, isn't he? He's by Dubawi out of a beautiful Kellyon mare.
Yeah, absolutely, and it gets more exciting as the months go on in Europe because Sons of Dubawi are doing exceptionally well. In fact, one of his grandsons, called Make Believe, sired a Group 1 winner not too long ago. He being by McPhee, who was part of Dubawi's first crop, a Group 1 winner out of his first crop. And yeah, he's just doing phenomenally well. Night of Thunder continues to have stake winners every week as the weeks go by. So really doing well. And the horse Erupt himself is doing well, obviously. I think last time we spoke, we still had the AGM on the agenda. We had our AGM just over a week ago now. And Tim Boertsma from Main Chance reports that the horse is in good shape. He's as fit as he can be. Obviously in his first season when he arrived, it was quite a rush job because he got here and he was straight out of quarantine into covering mares, which is never easy for a new stallion. And he's in good shape. He's ready to cover a good book again. And we look forward to the covering season because we've got some fantastic weanlings and foals on the ground from this past season, which we have put out the pictures and the clips all over social media and the likes, and we're very impressed with our stock, and I know the other farms and shareholders are as well, so we've managed to get good support and good numbers to him again this season.
Yeah, Erupt certainly ticks a lot of boxes. The breeding, he had a good race record, he had a good time form rating, and of course we've managed to see the progeny as well on the ground, the Breeding to Win team, and I was really impressed with them. They're strong, they're well put together, everything's in the right place.
Yeah, they are. And look, obviously, as we've touched on at length, his pedigree is top class, and you know he won a Group 1 on the turf in Europe over 2-4. There's no harder place in the world to win a Group 1 on turf than in Europe, akin to the dirt in America. You know, if you've got a horse that can win Group 1s on those surfaces in those parts of the world, they are the best of the best on those surfaces. And he is obviously putting in some good size into his stock, which is good. And I know obviously from the history of our mares at Main Chance and from other clients' mares, even mares that normally throw smallish type of horses. The Erupt foals are the biggest progeny that those particular mares have thrown, and there's quite a few good examples of those, which is really good. And Dubawi's also shown that he gets them to run over 5 furlong to 3,200 metres as well, and I think that bodes well for him, because obviously in this day and age you need to have some 2-year-old contenders to get your stallion out there, and to get people seeing that he can throw runners. Always helps having early 2-year-olds and good performing juveniles. And I think from the stock we've seen and a lot of the mares he's covered, he has covered some quicker type, more forward type of mares that should be able to produce him some nice forward precocious types, and that always bodes well for a new sire.
Yeah, and from what I've seen, he puts plenty of substance into them. Now, what will he be standing for this year?
We decided to drop him a touch this year. Obviously, it's a common theme among stallions this season. Everything is coming down due to COVID and the issues that the market faces. So he's dropped down. Last season he was at 30,000 live foal. We have brought him down to 25,000 live foal this season. But then also breeders that did purchase nominations to him last season, if they come back and purchase again this season, they'll be further discounted from that. So anyone who did buy a service last season or has supported the horse will be able to get further discount off of him this year. So you just got to contact Main Chance, Tim Boertsma, or myself, and we can work a plan for your mare or mares just to get them the support. Obviously in this market it's tough, and that's where all the stallions are at this season, is to just try and get support, and he is no different, especially he is in his 3rd year, which is always a tricky year before the runners come and before he sells progeny. So 25,000 all live foal this season, and then obviously there's discounted rates available if you have supported him in the past.
Well, it's a good deal, and he's certainly worth every penny. You must be so excited to see his first runners on the track, because as we've said, they look really, really good, and it's going to be really exciting to see. There's going to be actually a lot of young stallions that we're going to see out and about very soon.
It is. It's an interesting time. You have conversations with breeders and they're not really sure where they should send their mare to, because there's a whole bunch of stallions that are in the same type of mix at the moment, and we have very good young ones, the likes of Vercingetrix and Kirari doing exceptionally well. I think Gimme the Green Light's thrust himself to, you know, Silvano, just under Silvano, Captain L Dynasty type of levels, and Master of My Fate doesn't stop throwing very good horses. So there's a whole array of horses. You look at stallions like Captain of All, Patala Palace, they all do really well. Obviously breeders have to keep in mind the commercial aspect when they're going to the sales, which is always a very hard thing to try and predict, because markets do tend to be quite fickle. But I think when it comes down to breeding a good racehorse, there's a lot of good stallion options out there at the moment. And with Erupt, obviously, it's all stallions. It's quite a long journey when you sit back and watch. It feels like a good few years ago that we brought the horse in, which it was, and he still hasn't had any horses go to the sales yet. So it does take quite a while. But he'll have yearlings on the auctions next year, and we look forward to seeing how well they are received, and obviously then runners after that.
Yeah, it's exciting times ahead. I'm looking forward to seeing them at the sales and on the track. But thanks for taking the time to chat to us again this morning, Justin. Looking forward to the season ahead. He's worth every penny, as I said, and you must book your mares to Erupt.
Yeah, thank you very much. As I said, just contact Tim Boertsma at Main Chance. He's in charge of the bookings, or myself, and we can try and help you out to get to our horse.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Erupt is standing at Main Chance. He's a fine-looking stallion. He's already got some really good progeny on the ground. They're built with lots of substance. They really do look the part. So we're looking forward to seeing them at the sales. We're looking forward to seeing his progeny on the track, and of course, get your mares to him for this breeding season.
Well, great to be at Mike de Kock Racing Stables this morning, one of South Africa's greatest trainers, to talk about a horse that really has given the public, the punters and his connections so much pleasure, and that is Socrat. Mike, thank you very much for catching up with us on Breeding to Win.
Thanks very much, Julie.
Just chatting about Socrat, and I mean, looking at his performances, I mean, this is, of course, is going and looking at it before his race in the Vodacom Durban July, but 18 starts. He's never been out of the places except on 2 occasions.
Yeah, he's one of the horses that that every trainer wants to train. He's tough. He always, most of the time, turns up, you know, barring once or twice when there was pretty good excuses, I would have thought. But he's a real trainer's horse, as sound as can be, straightforward, no issues, and plenty of ability.
He won 7 races in his career, 4 of which were Group 1 races. His best distance looked to be 1,600 metres.
He's been quite versatile, Julie. 16 to 2000, no problem. I mean, he's showing now that 2000's not an issue in the Summer Cup as well, but I think he was unlucky to lose. He showed then that he gets it all day. So clearly, very versatile. He's raced at 2, 3, 4, and a sound horse all through those years. As I said, he's an absolute trainer's dream.
Equestrian champion 2-year-old, as you pointed out, he started his career off early, and he started producing goods from the start.
Yes, I mean, he was almost unlucky to run into a horse like Hawam in his life, in the same year, being of the same crop. But again, a record that any owner of a horse or trainer would be extremely proud of.
His sire, Epaulette, was quite a new sire when Socrat was purchased. In fact, Socrat was one of his first crops.
Yes, he's actually a homebred Socrat. He was bred in Australia. And Epaulette has been okay. I think he was an extremletly good racehorse, but I don't think he's carried it through at stud. And Socrat would be close to his best progeny, I would have thought.
And just looking at Epaulette's, racing performances, Mike, was he more of a sprinting type stallion?
As far as I know, I wouldn't know a massive amount of Epaulette, but I remember him to be fairly quick. A very fast sire, and that's why we're always worried about him staying. But certainly a lot of speed on that male side, yeah.
Looking at Socrates' racing performances, what race would you say was probably his best performance?
I'm probably going to go to the Guineas in Cape Town. As usual, always booming Cape horses that forget about the Joburg horses. But I thought it was a very good one.
And then he followed it up with a very good second in the Lomorans Queen's Plate against Do It Again.
Yes, and I mean, he ran into Do It Again there, and, again, could have gone either way. But an extremely great run, albeit he got defeated, but he was defeated by one of the best horses that's gone on 1-2 Julys since.
Looking at Socrat as a horse, and you having trained so many top horses that have gone on to be top stallions in their career, how do you feel Socrat's going to do now that as he retires as a stallion?
Julie, you very seldom find a good horse this sound, and I think that's something that is bred into progeny. So certainly if he can breed them as sound as he is, that's a massive bonus. And breed horses that can run often is really what an owner's looking for today. In terms of size, you'd probably want to mate him up a bit. He's not the biggest. He's very neat, very proportional, very good-legged. He's got everything in place, but he might just lack a little bit in size.
He's going to be standing at Sandown Stud, and obviously he's going to get huge opportunities over there.
Well, Sheikh Hamdam's got a good bunch of mares, a lot of reduced choice mares. So he's going to get a chance, that's for sure. So, I mean, for a first-season breeder, you wouldn't be hesitating going for a horse like this.
And you certainly be going to be looking at his progeny.
Absolutely. And, again, if he can throw good legs like he's got, if breeders have got really, lovely-looking mares that possibly, don't have the greatest legs, I think he's one of those who could improve on that small default that a mare may have.
Thank you very much for your time, Mark. Always lovely chatting to you, and lovely to have you on the Breeding to Win show.
Pleasure. Thank you, Julie.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's edition of Breeding to Win. Don't forget to join us next month for more Breeding to Win action. From Grant Knowles, Fiona Ramsden, and myself, Julie Alexander, and the rest of the Breeding to Win team, good night.